The station was almost empty. Its cold metal halls echoed faintly with the distant hum of engines and the occasional clank of maintenance bots moving supplies. Most travelers had already taken the last shuttles to distant planets, leaving only a few lingering souls waiting for the night's final departure. Among them, whispers moved like shadows, rumors of the passenger no one dared approach, a strange alien woman said to bite anyone who threatened her. The shuttle doors hissed open, and one by one, passengers stepped inside, eager to leave the station before the darkness of space seemed to press against the windows. The alien woman entered last. She moved with a quiet grace, her steps precise and deliberate. Her eyes, large and iridescent, scanned the cabin with a predator's focus. The few remaining passengers felt a chill as she passed, and an uneasy silence fell over the shuttle. Those who had heard the rumors remembered them now. Three people, all trying to act brave, had stepped a little too close to her. The first leaned over, trying to make conversation, joking about the stories. Her head tilted slightly, and before he could react, she bit him on the shoulder. A sharp pain, a quick bite, enough to send him sprawling backward. Gasps filled the shuttle as he fell to the floor, clutching his arm, shocked and terrified. The second man tried a different approach. He muttered something about how such creatures were no match for human strength. He thought himself clever, imagining he could scare her away. The alien's eyes narrowed. She moved silently, almost like a shadow, and bit him on the hand. His yelp echoed across the cabin. Panic rippled through the remaining passengers. The third person was a woman who thought she could reason with the creature. She reached out her hand, attempting to touch the alien in a calming gesture. The alien's response was swift, and a sharp bite on the forearm made her recoil and scream. The shuttle's atmosphere had changed entirely. Fear clung to the walls, the hum of the engines feeling louder, more ominous. The few remaining passengers huddled in corners, avoiding the alien's gaze. The doors hissed again as another figure stepped onto the shuttle. A man in his early 30s, wearing a standard human flight jacket and carrying a small pack, scanned the cabin carefully. Unlike the others, his eyes did not widen with fear when he saw the alien. He paused only for a moment before walking calmly toward an empty seat across from her. The alien noticed him immediately. Her head tilted, her eyes studying him with a strange mixture of curiosity and caution. She had never seen a human who did not flinch, who did not tremble or shrink back. He didn't seem to carry any weapons, and there was no trace of fear in his posture. He simply sat, relaxed yet attentive, keeping his gaze steady on her, as if inviting her to make a choice. The alien's instincts screamed at her to test him, to see if he would fight or flee like the others. But there was something different about him. He did not look like the others. His calmness, his confidence, it was unlike anything she had experienced. She leaned back slightly, watching him, almost hesitant. Minutes passed. The shuttle lifted from the platform, engines thrumming steadily beneath the floor. Outside the windows, the stars stretched into long lines as the shuttle accelerated into the dark reaches of space. The alien remained still, observing the human, her senses alert. He made no sudden moves. He did not reach for a weapon. He simply placed his hands on his knees and met her gaze evenly. The tension in the cabin was almost unbearable. The few remaining passengers whispered quietly among themselves, trying to make sense of the scene. Why had she bitten the others? Why did she not move toward him? The human's calmness seemed to confuse the alien, and that confusion gave her pause. Finally, the man did something no one expected. He slowly reached out his hand, palm up, in a gesture of peace. He didn't speak. He didn't make sudden movements. He simply held out his hand, a silent offer of trust. The alien froze. Her instincts screamed at her to react, to strike and assert dominance. But the gesture was so unlike the others she had encountered. Fear, aggression, and uncertainty were natural prey for her tests. This human, however, showed none of them. For a long moment, she simply stared at the hand, her breathing quiet and controlled. The shuttle hummed steadily, carrying them away from the station and into the darkness. The stars outside seemed to shimmer in rhythm with the silent standoff inside the cabin. The human remained patient. He did not flinch or pull back when she moved slightly closer, his eyes steady and calm. His hand remained extended, offering no threat, only trust. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, her tension began to ease. Her gaze softened, though a cautious edge remained. Other passengers watched in awe. The last three had reacted with fear, and each had paid the price. But this human, this one man, had done something different. He had not reacted with fear or aggression. He had responded with calmness, patience, and a quiet confidence that seemed to reach something deep within her. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The shuttle glided through the dark expanse, engines whispering as they carried the unlikely pair further from the station. The alien's head tilted again, this time with genuine curiosity. She did not move to bite. She did not hiss or bare her teeth. Instead, she studied him, evaluating, processing, trying to understand why he was different. The human continued to meet her gaze. His expression was steady, open, and calm. No sign of fear, no trace of aggression. The simple gesture of an extended hand, held without hesitation, seemed to reach something in her. Her instincts, honed by countless encounters with fearful beings, told her to attack, to test, to assert dominance. Yet here was a human who seemed untouched by her usual strategies. For the first time, the alien felt a strange sensation, something she could not name. Curiosity, perhaps, or a cautious respect. She had never encountered anyone like him. The shuttle moved steadily through space, carrying them further from everything familiar, yet the alien did not move to attack. She only watched, silent and still, her iridescent eyes reflecting the distant stars. The human finally broke the silence, his voice calm and even. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly. "I just want to understand." The words were simple, yet they carried a weight the alien did not fully grasp. Her instincts told her to ignore him, to continue testing, but her curiosity held her back. There was something about his calmness, his unwavering patience that made her hesitate. She leaned back slightly, still cautious but no longer threatening. The shuttle continued its journey through space, and a fragile tension settled between them. The alien, who had bitten the last three passengers without hesitation, now simply observed. The human, who could have been afraid, instead offered trust. The contrast was stark, and it created a silent connection neither fully understood. As the stars outside stretched into long, glittering trails, the alien began to feel something new. She was not sure what it was, but it was not fear, nor aggression, nor hunger. She had never felt it before, and it made her pause. The human continued to hold out his hand, steady and calm, a silent offer of trust. Slowly, the alien's tense posture began to relax, just slightly. For the first time, she considered that perhaps not all beings were meant to fear her. Perhaps some could meet her without fear, could see her not as a threat but as something more. The shuttle carried them deeper into the void, stars stretching past, silent witnesses to the quiet standoff inside. The alien, who had bitten the last three passengers without hesitation, now simply watched, and the human, patient and calm, continued to offer his hand. In that silent moment, a bond began to form, a bond not of fear, not of aggression, but of something new, something fragile yet strong. A bond that might one day change the way they saw each other, and perhaps the way the universe saw humans. The journey had only just begun. The shuttle drifted silently through the endless blackness of space. Inside, the quiet tension between the human and the alien woman remained, though it had shifted subtly. She no longer watched him with immediate suspicion or the sharp edge of predatory instinct. Instead, her gaze was curious, analyzing each small movement he made. Every time he adjusted his seat or checked the small display on his wrist, she observed without reacting. She had never encountered such calm in the face of her presence. The human remained equally still, relaxed yet attentive. He had learned quickly to read her body language, recognizing the subtle signs of tension, curiosity, and assessment. He did not push, did not move too fast or too close. He understood instinctively that patience was the key. It was unlike the others she had bitten before, had flinched, argued, or tried to assert dominance. With him, none of that had happened. He offered no challenge, only calmness. Hours passed. The alien, who had bitten 3 passengers without hesitation, had not so much as raised her hand toward him. She had tested him silently, shifting slightly, observing his reaction to her movements, and each time he responded with stillness and understanding. She began to recognize patterns in his behavior, subtle cues that told her he was intelligent, resourceful, and unafraid. "You don't fear me," she said finally, her voice quiet but resonant, a strange mix of curiosity and disbelief. "I don't need to fear you," he replied calmly. "I understand what you do. You test others because it is part of who you are, but I won't react with fear." "That isn't helpful." She tilted her head, analyzing the words. Few could speak to her in this way, few could recognize her instincts without misunderstanding them. Most either tried to flee or fight. His words were not a threat. They were simple, honest, and devoid of fear. That alone intrigued her. "Why not?" she asked. Her tone was cautious, almost hesitant. She had never asked such a question before, never had someone defy the expected response of terror. "Because fear gives power over you," he said softly. "It makes you vulnerable to others. And I won't give you that power. I can face you as you are without pretending." The alien considered this. For the first time she felt her instincts challenged, not by force, not by words of dominance, but by calm, unwavering understanding. Her species had always judged others by reaction. Those who flinched or resisted were prey. Those who were calm were strange but dangerous in a different way. He was neither prey nor threat. He was something entirely new. She moved slightly closer, testing the boundaries of his comfort. He did not flinch or pull back. His hand remained extended, steady. She circled her gaze over his face, studying the subtle signals of emotion, curiosity, patience, and, she realized, empathy. This last emotion was foreign to her species, something rarely displayed so clearly. "You are different," she said finally, almost to herself. "I am human," he replied simply. "We often face fear and danger, and we survive because we learn to remain calm, to understand, and to act when needed. Fear is natural, but it can be controlled." Her eyes narrowed slightly. She had never considered this before. In her world, instinct ruled. Survival depended on testing others, seeing weakness, and acting. Yet this human, this simple creature, defied instinct without defiance. He had survived her without a scratch, not because of strength or agility, but because of composure and intelligence. The shuttle hummed steadily beneath them as they traveled farther from the station. Outside, stars stretched into long trails of light, each one a reminder of the vastness of space. Inside, the alien's mind worked rapidly, analyzing, questioning, and trying to understand this human. She had never encountered such patience, such clarity of purpose. "You are not afraid to be near me," she said again, her voice quieter this time, almost a whisper. "Others would run, scream, fight, or beg. You do nothing. Why?" "Because I choose to," he said simply. "I choose to meet you without fear, because fear will not help either of us. You test because it is natural. I respond because it is natural for me to remain calm. Neither of us is wrong. We are different, and that is enough." The alien studied him for a long time, her iridescent eyes reflecting the stars outside. Slowly, she began to understand something she had never considered. That courage was not always about aggression, and strength was not always about dominance. This human had survived her not by fighting, but by understanding her, by facing her as she truly was. Hours turned into the quiet rhythm of night in space. The alien's posture began to relax, though only slightly. Her breathing, once tense and measured, became smoother, less sharp. She had never allowed anyone to come so close without reaction, and yet here he was, patiently observing her, silently offering trust. Finally, she moved forward, stopping just short of his outstretched hand. She did not touch, did not bite, but she allowed herself to be close enough to feel the warmth of his presence. The simple gesture of offering his hand without fear had begun to bridge the gap between instinct and understanding. "You do not fear me," she said softly again, almost as if testing the words on her tongue. "No," he said, "I do not, and I do not wish to harm you. I only wish to understand you and perhaps help if it is needed." The alien considered this. In her experiences, understanding was rare. Most beings reacted immediately to danger, to fear, to aggression. Patience and empathy were almost alien concepts, even to her own species. This human had offered both freely. That alone was remarkable. The shuttle hummed quietly as the stars streaked past. Inside, a fragile connection began to form, unspoken and tentative. The alien could not name it, but she felt something shift inside her, a cautious curiosity, a strange warmth, and a recognition that this human was unlike anyone she had encountered. Minutes passed, and the alien finally spoke again, this time with a hint of humor in her tone. "You are strange. I am human," he said simply, smiling slightly. "We often appear strange to others, but it is because we adapt, learn, and survive in ways that are not always obvious." She studied him, a small smile appearing on her lips, though her teeth were carefully hidden. She had never seen a human like him, one who could remain calm, offer trust, and yet convey strength without aggression. She found herself enjoying the presence of his company, though she did not fully understand why. The shuttle began to descend slowly toward a small outpost on a nearby moon. Outside, the surface glimmered with faint lights and docking stations. The human and the alien sat in silence, their presence creating an unspoken understanding between them. The few remaining passengers watched from a distance, sensing that something extraordinary was unfolding. As the shuttle touched down, the human finally retracted his hand, but only slightly. He did not move away, nor did he break the connection they had formed. The alien, for her part, did not strike or bite. She simply observed, her iridescent eyes following him as he gathered his small pack. "You are not afraid," she said again, almost a statement this time. "No," he replied, "and I hope that in time you will not need to be." The shuttle doors opened, and the passengers began to disembark. The alien watched them go, her instincts still alert but tempered by curiosity. She had not bitten anyone in this leg of the journey, and she did not plan to. Her attention remained on the human, the one who had defied instinct and fear alike. Finally, as the last passenger stepped onto the platform, she allowed herself a small, cautious gesture. She moved close enough to brush his sleeve, a silent acknowledgement of trust. He did not pull back, did not react with fear. Instead, he smiled, quietly, reassuringly, and the gesture created a bridge between species, one built not on dominance or fear, but on patience and understanding. The shuttle sat quietly, its engines cooling, as the human and the alien exchanged one final look. Outside, the stars continued their endless dance, and inside, a connection had been made, one that neither species had seen before, one that hinted at possibilities far beyond the simple rules of survival. And in that moment, the alien realized something she had never truly understood. Not all strength came from fear, not all courage came from aggression. Sometimes, true strength came from calmness, understanding, and the courage to meet the unknown with open hands. The journey was far from over. There were challenges ahead, dangers that neither could yet see. But for the first time, the alien woman felt that perhaps, just perhaps, she had found someone who could walk beside her, not as prey, not as threat, but as equal. And that thought, fragile yet powerful, stayed with her as the shuttle doors closed behind the last passenger, leaving the human and her together in the quiet hum of the ship, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The shuttle floated silently above the surface of the moon, its engines cooling after the long journey through the void. Outside, the landscape was a mixture of rocky plains and faint glimmers of settlement lights. The human adjusted the straps of his small pack and glanced at the alien woman beside him. Her iridescent eyes followed him, curious yet cautious, reflecting the stars above and the pale moonlight below. The quiet calm, however, would not last long. As the shuttle's doors opened, a sudden alarm blared. Red lights flashed across the cabin as a warning system engaged. Sensors detected an unidentified threat approaching the docking platform. The human reacted immediately, scanning the readouts and analyzing the situation. He was calm, precise, and efficient, his training and experience guiding his every move. The alien stiffened at first, instinctively preparing to strike or flee. In her species, danger was met with immediate action, bite, claw, or escape. But she noticed the human's composure, the way he studied the threat without panic. His calmness was contagious, and she felt her own tension slowly easing. A small group of rogue drones, likely scavengers or automated defense units from a nearby settlement, had detected the shuttle and were closing in. Their metallic forms gleamed in the moonlight, hovering just above the surface, their weapons charging. The human's eyes narrowed. He did not hesitate. "We need to disable them before they breach the shuttle," he said calmly. "I will handle the controls, but I'll need you to help cover the perimeter." The alien tilted her head, surprised. "Cover me?" "Yes," he replied simply. "You are fast, agile, and aware. I need those skills now more than ever. Trust me. Follow my lead." She hesitated for only a moment before nodding. His confidence was unwavering, and she sensed that following him was the safest path. Instinct and reason merged, and she accepted his guidance. Together, they moved to the shuttle's exterior access hatch. The human accessed the shuttle's control panel, rerouting power to the defensive systems. Lights on the dashboard blinked rapidly as he recalculated trajectories and control sequences. His fingers moved over the touch panels with practiced ease, setting up a series of automated deterrents to slow the drones. The alien, meanwhile, positioned herself near the open doors, ready to intercept any drone that slipped past the automated defenses. She crouched low, her limbs coiled like a spring, her senses attuned to the slightest movement. She had never worked with another being in such a coordinated way, especially a human, and yet she found the synchronization exhilarating. The first drone approached, its weapons primed. The alien lunged, moving with lightning speed. She knocked the drone off balance, using her momentum to push it toward the shuttle's defensive barrier. Sparks flew as it collided with the reinforced hull, and the automated systems neutralized it efficiently. The human's adjustments on the control panel ensured the barrier maintained optimal coverage, and the drone's threat was eliminated without damage to the shuttle. A second drone followed, more aggressive and faster than the first. The human anticipated its movement, rerouting the energy shields and using the shuttle's minor thrusters to create a small shockwave that destabilized the drone's flight. It faltered in midair, giving the alien an opening. She struck precisely, using her strength and agility to disable its propulsion. Sparks erupted as the drone crashed onto the moon's surface. Minutes passed in this intense coordination. Each movement was calculated, precise, and synchronized. The alien began to see the human in a new light, not as prey, not as a simple creature, but as a strategist, a thinker, someone who could remain calm under pressure and find solutions where others might panic. His intelligence and courage were evident in every action. Finally, the last drone approached. It moved erratically, its sensors searching for weakness. The human studied its patterns and quickly devised a plan. I need you to distract it while I redirect the power flow, he said, his voice calm but urgent. The alien nodded, understanding immediately. She leapt into action, drawing the drone's attention with sudden movements, circling and weaving in a display of agility and precision. The drone's targeting system locked onto her, ignoring the human for the moment. She led it closer to the shuttle's energy dampeners, allowing the human to reroute the power. A pulse of energy surged from the shuttle, destabilizing the drone and causing it to spiral out of control. The alien struck again, sending it crashing into the ground. The threat was neutralized. Silence returned, punctuated only by the faint hum of the shuttle's cooling engines. The alien turned toward the human, her chest heaving slightly from exertion. She had never fought alongside another being in such perfect harmony. The human stepped forward, offering her a hand to steady her. She paused for a moment, then accepted it, a small gesture that carried trust and acknowledgement. "You handled that well," he said, his tone calm but approving. "Your instincts are excellent. I only guided them." You were calm," she replied, almost in disbelief. "I expected fear, panic, even defiance, but you were steady. It had helped me." The human smiled slightly. "Calmness is a kind of strength. It allows us to think clearly, to act wisely. We survive not only by fighting but by understanding, by choosing the right action at the right time." The alien considered his words. Her species had always relied on instinct, on testing others and asserting dominance. Fear and aggression had been the universal language. Yet here was a human who had survived her not through instinct alone, but through intelligence, patience, and courage. She realized that his strength was different, an inner strength that did not rely on teeth or claws. As the shuttle's engines purged the last of the heat from the journey, the human opened the cabin doors to survey the area. The moon's surface was quiet once more, the rogue drones disabled, and the settlement lights twinkled in the distance. Outside, the alien stood ready, still alert but no longer tense. She had faced danger with him, and together they had overcome it. "You saved me," she said quietly, almost reluctantly. "And you saved yourself," he replied. "We acted together, that's the point." Strength comes in many forms. A faint smile touched her lips, a gesture she rarely allowed. She had not expected to feel this connection, this mutual respect. For the first time, she saw a human not as fragile or fearful, but as capable, intelligent, and brave. The human extended his hand once more, a silent offer of trust and partnership. The alien studied it for a moment, then accepted, letting her fingers rest lightly in his. The gesture was simple, yet profound. It represented something far greater than fear or aggression. It was mutual respect, understanding, and recognition of each other's abilities. As they walked toward the settlement, side by side, the alien's thoughts were filled with new possibilities. She had encountered countless beings in her travels, tested and judged them all by instinct and fear. None had met her like this. None had faced her without flinching, without aggression, and yet with courage and understanding. The human glanced at her and smiled. "You did well back there, I knew you would." The alien felt a warmth she could not name. It was not fear, nor hunger, nor instinct, it was admiration, respect, and a budding trust. "You are strange," she said, almost teasingly. "And you are extraordinary," he replied simply. The settlement loomed ahead, lights flickering across the rocky terrain. The human and the alien approached it together, neither afraid, neither dominated, but equal partners in a universe that often demanded fear and aggression. Here they had found another way, an example of courage, patience, and intelligence triumphing over instinct alone. Inside the settlement, life moved on around them, unaware of the unusual bond forming. The alien had faced fear, danger, and instinct, yet she now chose to walk beside a human, not as a threat, not as prey, but as a partner. And the human, in turn, recognized the potential in her, the strength and skill that could be allies, not enemies. In the quiet of the moonlit night, the alien realized something fundamental. True strength was not always in teeth, claws, or speed. True courage was not always in fighting or dominating. Sometimes it was in remaining calm, thinking clearly, and offering trust when none was expected. And in that moment, the bond between human and alien was sealed, not with fear, aggression, or dominance, but with respect, understanding, and the quiet power of courage meeting intelligence. The journey ahead would be long, filled with unknown dangers and challenges, but together they could face anything. The human's calmness, intelligence, and courage had earned the alien's trust. Her instincts, skill, and speed had earned his respect. Side by side, they walked into the unknown, ready to prove that humanity's greatest strength was not just in survival, but in understanding, empathy, and the courage to meet the unknown with open hands. For the first time in her life, the alien felt truly understood. And for the first time, the human knew that courage was not just his own. It could inspire, guide, and create bonds across species, across worlds, and across the endless expanse of space. The moon's lights flickered beneath them, the stars shimmered above, and together, human and alien moved forward, a testament to the power of calmness, understanding, and the undeniable strength of humanity. The universe stretched endlessly before them, vast and uncertain, yet neither feared it. For together, they had found a way to face it, one hand extended, one heart steady, and one mind open to the possibilities of connection and courage that could change everything.